Good evening, my friends. In this section, I will be taking on the development taking place after the death of Mother Bernada. The Menzingen Foundation included all unique personalities, Swiss ecclesial group in the Diocese of Basel and Co., the Capuchin order, as well as the personalities in the founding group itself. Father Theodosius was an important part of the Institute's founding event. He was influential in shaping the identity, mainly because he placed considerable pressure on the embodiment of its primitive inspiration from late 1840s. Mother Bernada's contribution to the congregation was great, and it is said, the joy we experienced about the happy outcome of the election was eclipsed because the noble, faithful and strong woman, Mother Bernada, would be taken away by the horrible disease of cancer from us in death within a week. At her demise, Father Theodosius himself said, "No sister can fill the place of Mother Bernada. She willingly allowed herself to be led by God to fulfill His plan." Mother Bernada went beyond her own limitations, risking of entering into an unknown future, accepting unpopularity, and by exposing herself to disagreeable consequences. To attain such fortitude, Mother Bernada has to let her to be guided by a great love of truth. At her demise, Father Theodosius said, "No sister can fill the place of Mother Bernada. She willingly allowed herself to be led by God to fulfill His own plan." Mother Bernada went beyond her own limitations, risking of entering into an unknown future, accepting unpopularity, and by exposing herself to disagreeable consequences. To attain such fortitude, Mother Bernada has to let her be guided by great love of truth and by the ideal to which she has dedicated. L'Osservatore Romano. The successor of Mother Bernada, Mother Salessia Strickler, as Superior General, engaged in a hermeneutic silence about Mother Bernada and the founding event during her long reign. The reasons are, the archival records indicate when the crisis became acute during the contest. Sister Salessia, successor of Mother Bernada, wanted to transfer to Ingembol in order to remain loyal to Father Theodosius. As she decided to depart, Bishop of St. Gallen had dissuaded her. Shortly after the election of Sister Salessia as Superior General, Father Theodosius had suggested to her that the Institute should be amalgamated with Sisters of Mercy, but did not achieve his aim. The different attitude among Menzingen sisters about the contest concerning Father Theodosius and Mother Bernada's role meant that the cracked hermeneutic founding identity lay buried in the corporate memory, and a fragile internal unity existed in the Institute. In reference to Father Rollin misconduct, Salessia responded by suppressing the founding memory. Father Theodosius' harmful misrepresentation of Mother Bernada's defense of the founding identity remained alive in the Capuchins' memory till 1944, and the external pressure for Menzingen was to maintain silence about this. In the 1840s publication by the Sisters of Mercy, they have blamed much Mother Bernada for all this. The relation of this institute with Sisters of Mercy was another cause of marginalization. The foregoing analysis indicates that the social psychology of the Menzingen sisters became dominated by Father Theodosius. In this way, Mother Bernada's contest was marginalized in order to enhance the memory of Father Theodosius. When did Mother Bernada's memory was recovered? It happened in small steps. It began in the 20th century. The beatification process fashioned an account of Mother Bernada's moral sanctity and greatness in the early 20th century. In 1920, a 15-page biography of Mother Bernada was done by Sister Amata. The Superior General, Mother Teresa Heimgartner, recommended for the first time the sisters pray to Mother Bernada in a circular letter in October 1934. In 1936, Mother Maria Teresa Negeli permitted words of appreciation to be carved on Mother Bernada's grave. Her remains were transferred from the village graveyard to the chapel in the convent cemetery in November 1943. The director of the institute spoke about Mother Bernada's sanctity during his weekly conference. Mother Bernada's memory was distorted as the model of cross-bearing. The Menzingen tradition, choosing Mother Bernada as the model of obedience to the constitutions, helps distort the Menzingen memory by reducing it to traditional assessment simply of renunciation and sacrifice. So says the author of this book. Her own writings are used to support this. On the contrary, Mother Bernada's discourses show commitment to mission in the world as an analysis of her spirit of suffering, humility, and the cross reveals. Finbar takes many extracts from the primary text. I take only one example here. Is through an analysis shows how her comments have been taken out of its context by Kaelin. The text is, "You must learn contentment in suffering and joy in suffering. God wills that you are a loving, suffering bride." This excerpt comes from a 29-year-old Mother Bernada using the religious language of the early 19th century. Archival records show that she wrote to encourage the chronically anxious sister Elizabeth Zucker. These words were addressed to the sister living and teaching in a small village in the 1850s and then quoted in the congregational tradition without reference to this context. Prior to 1995 General Chapter, the request for scientifically prepared history of the Menzingen founding history never formally was made, despite the Second Vatican Council, which called to constant return to the sources of the whole Christian life and the primitive inspiration of the religious institute until 21st century. Concerning the sisters' understanding of Mother Bernada, Kaelin writes, in the first half of the 20th century, "I always thought that Mother Bernada had acted correctly, that she had done her duty, that Father Theodosius had made improper demands on her. I never doubted her." Kaelin further says, "Menzingen became outwardly Franciscan, making an open contest during the prevailing Catholic and religious life. Hierarchical obedience of the time would have been very difficult, since the psychological pressure to accept the directives of superiors were very, very great. The Vatican II Council expected members of religious institutes to make the gospel their supreme norm, and hear that call to discipleship through the founder who had given it a particular shape to that institute. Further, religious should gain correct understanding of contemporary conditions and the needs. They are the signs of the times, and that religious institutes should thoroughly revise their constitutions, and to this end, the institutes are to hold a special general chapter through which the spirit and intentions of the founders can be known and can be preserved in each religious institute. In the 1965 chapter, there was resistance. Maria Carmela Motat, too, the then Superior General, recommended the delegates, within quotes, to consider the Franciscan shape of our religious life, quote finishes. A stiff resistance was seen in the chapter, and the group raised the question, should our congregation not shape a spirituality of its own for our time, one that is Christocentric versus Franciscan? The group confirmed that Father Theodosius as the founder, but it also reiterated that whatever additional or posthumous reflection on Franciscan spirituality within the Menzingen Institute was artificial and therefore is in utter vain. Mother Irene, the Superior General, sent out a questionnaire to be answered by all Menzingen sisters in preparation for the 1969 chapter. The documents submitted by all provinces reveal a confused, undeveloped sense of corporate identity. Many petitions and requests were ambivalent and contradictory. For example, the Swiss province identifies Father Theodosius as the founder, saying that his ideas will give correct direction for the 20th century. The text noted furthermore, the Menzingen Institute belonged unquestioningly to the Franciscan order. In a subsequent extended petition, the Swiss text determined again that the Menzingen Institute had never been so exclusively coined by Franciscan spirituality as the Franciscan congregation, since the Capuchin order has distanced itself from the Menzingen foundation. Reports from India, Zambia, a similar pattern of the dominant tradition was given. However, the reports from Argentina, Chile, England, Lesotho, South Africa, and Sri Lanka make no reference to St. Francis. Cape Province wanted the more emphasis given to Mother Bernada. The General Chapter 1995 called for an investigation on the founding Menzingen identity. When clarifying the priorities concerning community during founding time, Dr. Abakel raised a question. Did the Menzingen Institute have an apostolic or mendicant model community? It was said that the new form of communities will be considered in the future. The Assistant Provincial of Chile, Sister Miguela Muslin, asked the question, who is to be named as the founder or foundress? The Superior General Mother Irene was unable to find the right answer. The Chilean Southern Province wanted two different modes of operation within their one province. Their cry was that they never came to know the guiding lines of the Menzingen founding event. They said, there had never been any attempt made to study the origins of the congregation. Our foundress, Mother Bernada, was the great forgotten one. Father Theodosius was mentioned occasionally. Our mission as teachers was questioned. After this, they all prepared a memorandum as to the double operation within the province was prepared by the whole province, and 124 sisters signed it. It was not accepted by the Superior General, and having failed within the congregation, the signatories made the request to the Holy See. Monsignor Mayor congratulated the Chilean sisters who were fighting for a better religious life, encouraged them to continue this difficult task, and assured the Church's support. This opened the way for a new structuring of the life of the Menzingen sisters based more on the values of humanity and autonomy. The German province in Chile then wanted a delegation. They do not want to die without anyone continuity. Rome listened to them and erected a delegation. In 1995, there were 45 professed sisters in Chilean province. After this, there was another long period of discussion on paradigm shifts in the world context and the concept of the self. This topic was well discussed. In response to 1995 chapter, the Historical Commission was established in 1996 to 2001, it went on, by the General Administration. Professor Carlo Moos, the Associate Professor at the University of Zurich, successfully integrates the Menzingen founding history with research into Swiss Catholicism and also traces the founding contests as they work through the gender roles. As modern historian, Professor Moos is sensitive to the paternalistic world and to male-decentered institution, which was not the case with Henkeler and Jude the two sisters who worked earlier. Moose regarded Mother Bernada's role and the importance of the founding event is as remarkable. He says that what counts is that Mother Bernada laid down the foundation of the congregation in the midst of much resistance coming from a male-occupied hierarchy. He acknowledged that her real accomplishment and merit lies less in the first years of the foundation than in the years of its development after 1848, because Father Theodosius was the dominant person earlier. After the great conflict with Father Theodosius in the 1850s, followed one by one with Father Rollin, Father Berker, Moose demonstrate that Mother Bernada became dominant, and that he tells, and the author quotes it this way, she was in fact soul of the new foundation. She did what she had to do despite unending resistance also within the congregation. The author believes that Mother Bernada was in fact leading figure in real founding reality. She was a real historical mediator, the original inspiration which enabled the Institute interpret the mystery of Christ through the prism of an essential aspect. Therefore, she is the foundress. She is the foundress because she had a determinative role in shaping of the Institute's identity and ensuring its continuation. So Mother Bernada is our foundress. My friends, there are still on biblical, theological aspect of it 2 long chapters, but since the time is not allocated, and I leave that job to you all. Thank you and God bless you all.
Lord, please make me thy servant. Teach me to do thy will. Lord, please make me thy servant. In my life, make Jesus real. Fill my heart with your mercy, so others Jesus can see. Lord, please make me thy servant. That's all that I want to be. There is something wonderful about serving our Lord. What we do for his kingdom will last forevermore. Lord, please make me thy servant. Teach me to do thy will. Lord, please make me thy servant. In my life, make Jesus real. Fill my heart with your mercy, so others Jesus can see. Lord, please make me thy servant. That's all that I want to be. This life will soon be over. I'll stand at the judgment day. Well done, thou faithful servant. I want to hear him say, Lord, please make me thy servant. Teach me to do thy will. Lord, please make me thy servant. In my life, make Jesus real. Fill my heart with your mercy, so others Jesus can see. Lord, please make me thy servant. That's all that I want to be.